Well, I didn't know at the time. I just remember waking up to just a gentle vibration like this, and I thought, what's going on? And it took me a while to wake up and realize where I was, but it didn't. It kept on going, and more than that, it kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I thought, it's not going to be big. It's not going to be big. But I don't know how long it was. It seemed like just over a minute. It's difficult to say, but I was just lying there thinking, it can't get any bigger. And it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I started to panic, because then some glasses fell off the thing and hit the drawers were starting to do this, banging up, and they smashed against the drawer and scattered all over the floor. I was thinking, better be careful getting out of here. And I tried to stand up, and I couldn't stand up, because the whole building now was shaking like this. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't remember what to do. Somebody told me afterwards, you should stand in a doorway. Actually, it's probably not a good thing, because I would have had to get past the glass that was on the floor, and I didn't have anything on my feet. And there was lots of glass in the bathroom, mirrors and glass. So I think that probably wouldn't have been a good idea. So I got down between the two beds, which were about this far apart. I was actually thinking I should try and get under them. I wasn't sure. But I couldn't. So I just pulled all the covers down on top of me, the big pillows they had, and tried to ride it out. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. By the end, and it was going like this. The cycle was about half a second. No, about a second, right? Like that. Maybe, no, it was faster than that. Maybe half a second. And you just couldn't believe the building. I mean, how did it stand up? I was just panicking. I thought, oh no, this is going to be the end. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then finally it just went and petered out. And I just sort of lay there for a few seconds trying to recover. I thought, oh boy, I better check to see, if there's any fire or anything. Because I just realised that I still had my earplugs in. Because a lot of people asked me, did it make a lot of noise? I said, well, I didn't hear much, which is not surprising because I had my earplugs in all this time. So I took them out, and then I could hear the alarm, which I couldn't hear with my earplugs in. So I put my head out into the hallway, and it looked like there was smoke. Not a lot of damage on the hallway, a little bit, debris on the floor here and there. So I put some clothes on. Actually, what I did was pick the big piece of the glass up first, because I was just afraid I might step in them. I think I put shoes and socks and jeans and a t-shirt, and got my bag with my papers, and then took it outside. And when I got outside, I noticed that the swimming pool was half empty. And it turns out it wasn't cracked, it was just sloshed out. And we went out the back. And just everybody was in confusion. There was one poor guy was out there wearing a towel, because he as soon as he felt it, he ran out. And it turns out it was really cold out. I mean, it's kind of a desert climate. It's very dry. And it was probably less than 10 degrees. So after a while, we were all shivering, because I didn't think to put my jacket on. In fact, it was in another suitcase, packed away. And but the Sheraton staff were incredible. I mean, they brought down brown blankets, brought drinks and sheets, and they really looked after us and tried to keep us informed of what was going on. I mean, they didn't know what was going on, really.
Now, in terms of the motion, you describe a motion of it going back and forth. Was there any other motion to it? In other words, was there an underlying rumbling or vibration, or was it really you could just...
It really did not seem to change the motion. It might have gotten a little slower as the period got bigger, because it started with just a faint jiggle, but eventually we were jiggling back and forth like this. I mean, you couldn't stand. It was really violent. It wasn't like an undulation or anything. People say they often feel that in an earthquake, this sort of undulating feeling. It was backwards and forwards. And but that's sometimes the property of the building. My floor had very little damage, the second floor. But when you got up to the 5th, 6th, and then the 7th floor in the tower, they had the most damage. They had ceilings falling in and mirrors broken and pipes burst, floods and things up there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of odd, because the top of the 22 stories were pretty much unharmed inside. Again, a few glasses knocked over and things like that. But so it was probably, like a violin string. So it was sort of doing this.
Right.
and so those particular floors seemed to get it the worst. You couldn't. Well, it was pitch black.
Right,
because I closed the curtain thing too. That made it even more scary. Actually, I did manage to switch the light on. Come to think of it, so because when I was trying to decide what to do, I managed to lean over while it was just shaking gently. I managed to switch the light on. Well, like I said, apart from the violence, which it completely boggled my mind. It terrified me because I literally thought I was going to die. I can't imagine a structure standing up to this kind of motion, so fast. And the terror. I mean, because I was shaking like a leaf because. Literally, I did think I was going to die. I thought the building was going to collapse. I couldn't imagine it not collapsing. But boy, they build them well. Because this building was built probably about 8 years after the last big one, the one in 1960, which was the biggest ever recorded in the world. So, yeah, they learned something from that and constructed the damn thing really well. There was no external damage, no visible damage. A lot of buildings were like that too. The older buildings had a lot of facial damage, there's things falling off the front, and some had roofs collapse. But actually, some of the really new buildings were the ones that had damage too. It's like they've forgotten. And the ones that built in the last few years, in fact, where the Canadian consulate was, that building had a lot of damage. Pieces fell off the outside of the building, and their office was damaged so badly they couldn't get into it. Or at least they couldn't use it. Mostly, again, it was old buildings that you could see had suffered damage. In some cases, you're amazed that they stood up because there was one church tower with these huge angels around it, overhanging like this. They must have been 20 feet high, and they must have been really well held to the building because you can't imagine why they would fall off. But they were okay. And the other thing, too, I noticed was buildings under construction were the ones that could, obviously, because they weren't completed, they didn't have the structural integrity. And there were some that they were actually putting the glass glass curtain wall on, and 50% of the panes were broken. All these sharp shards all around the edges of it. It was really stressful. I think partly is because you just wiped from the adrenaline rush. Because the next 2 days, I couldn't sit still. I just could not relax.
Yeah.
And especially, of course, you get another aftershock. That they cleared the building after we're outside. They cleared our floor, said we could go back in about 2 hours after we went. So that would be about 5:30 in the morning. I thought, I need some sleep. A lot of people wouldn't go in the building, and I thought, that building is so solid, it doesn't matter what hits it, it's not going to fall down. And aftershocks are generally significantly less than the original quake. I don't know whether that's reasonable reasoning or not, but I was tired. And I went in, and then I woke up at about 7:30 to another one, an aftershock, which was quite big apparently. I think it was a 6.1. Yeah, it did the same pattern, except it didn't get as big. It just started with a gentle jiggle, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then just petered off again. So it didn't last nearly as long. I mean, it was just like 10 seconds, maybe 15. Actually, I was a little wary of coming back here, because, every 400 years we get a really, really big one, like 9 point something. And I was thinking, living on the 20th floor, I'm probably going to end up in the backyard, something like that. But, we forget.